Most of us go through life without asking these questions as often as we should. What does it mean to be human? Is everyone around me a philosophical zombie? I'm going to attempt to describe your human experience in such a way that I know you can relate to. What does it mean to be human? One day, you were born. But that's not when your human experience began, is it? You don't remember much about your earliest days, if anything at all. You remember it like a dream, not at all vivid and somewhat blurry. But in the timeline of your existence, at some point around 3 revolutions of our planet around our powerful star, what it feels like to be you started to become more lucid. It's like you started to wake up. You started to understand that you are conscious and you exist. It's right around this point you began to make choices, albeit not very good ones. The older you got, the clearer this experience became. Some describe it as being conscious, whatever that means. It came with a whole spectrum of inner states that people called emotions. Along the line, you learned what exactly you are, this strange awareness they call personhood. And for some reason, we just all woke up into a family we didn't choose, and a society that has existed for hundreds of years before we became, and we conformed to our surroundings. You can't place your finger on it right now, but there's a day you realize that this will all end, that the day you will stop being will come eventually. Again, whatever that means. But you try not to dwell on this fact. What's the point? It's inevitable. In fact, this truth pulls the strings of your every decision while your brain or your mind is working around the clock in the background to suppress it, making sure death will never come to the foreground of your thoughts. And whenever it does, most of us are put through a program for at least a decade. And what do we do there? We simply learn the rules of this strange society we appeared in, how to survive in a world that's constantly trying to get rid of us, as though we are like a virus and it's an organism. So I must survive, you tell yourself. I want to continue to live. Why? It wasn't that long ago that you didn't. You don't quite know what it is, but there's an invisible force inside you pushing you to want to try to live at almost any cost. So you just accept it and you give in to the force. You interact with all these other persons around you. You don't even know if they're real. I mean, your senses tell you they're real, but you're not sure if they experience the way you do. Do they truly experience pain? Or do they just act the same way you do when you experience pain? Do they experience colors the same way you do? Or when you see what your mind experiences as red, do they experience something completely different? You're blue perhaps, even though you both call it red. And so you'll never know. When you disagree with people, you just can't fathom why they can't open their eyes and see the truth. It frustrates you so much that you even start to hate them. Idiots. We don't know exactly what we're doing here. What we do know at least is there are preferable human experiences and others that lead to suffering. Suffering is not desirable, we feel. On this channel, I've posted a couple of videos talking on the topics that relate to the human experience. I want to remind as many people as possible that we're all just as clueless as each other. And even if you're not sure, it's better to pretend that everyone around you is not just a supporting character in your story. What we do know is we can try to make this strange existence that happened to us a favorable one, regardless of our politics, religion, nationality, and other categories we've boxed ourselves into. Categories that cause us to war with each other when deep down we know that most of our conflict is manufactured in our heads. Sometimes I feel like I'm the only one who's awake, and by that I mean I don't find other people pausing and observing themselves, observing their minds existing. And so please, let me know if you're also awake and if you can relate to some of these thoughts that plague my consciousness. My mission is to continue to describe different episodes of the human experience in a way that reminds us how much we have in common and that none of us chose this. So I'll release a video describing different parts of the human experience each time I hit a milestone. 100 subscribers, 250, 500, and so on. To remind myself and to remind you too that we're all just as oblivious as the next guy. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Click the bloop on the right, wherever the right is, to learn how minimalism has changed us, and click the other one to learn how Apple Vision Pro has transformed the human experience forever. Until next time, cheers.